everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here. It's my 4th observability day, if you can believe it, and my 2nd time speaking with Marino. Super excited. So my name is Adriana Villela, and I am a CNCF ambassador, blogger, podcaster, and maintainer. One of the maintainers of the OTel end user SIG. By day, I'm a principal developer advocate at Dynatrace. I specialize in observability and open telemetry. And by night, I like to climb walls, and I love checking out local bouldering gyms wherever I go, whenever I visit new cities. So checked one out this morning. And I also love capybaras because they make me happy.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Marino Wijay. I am a staff solutions architect at Kong. I focus in on network technologies, service mesh, API gateways, the full stack network, basically. I'm also Canadian. We have two lovely Canadians on stage with you, right, representing the Canada. So we're happy to be here, and we're really excited to talk about what we do beyond OTel, right? And in my previous careers working in network engineering, OTel wasn't there, and we had other technologies to give us observability around how packets moved around the network and how requests made their way to destinations. And so we needed to take that ideology and apply it to other domains outside of tech, and that's what we're here to talk about.
All right. So, we're all here, hopefully, because we love observability. If you don't, maybe you're in the wrong room. I hope not. And, when it comes to observability, there are tons of definitions out there. And our favorite definition, shout out to my super duper friend, Hazel Weekly, sitting at the front. She honestly has the best definition of observability, and it's this. Observability is the process through which you're able to ask meaningful questions, get useful answers, and then act effectively on what you learn, which is an awesome definition. But the thing is that observability is only as good as your telemetry. So if you have no telemetry or crappy telemetry, your systems aren't particularly observable. Now, add to the fact that if you don't have any standards around your telemetry, that becomes a little bit problematic.
And we have another quote from the famous charity majors around talking about open telemetry before it even existed. We had a variety of different ways to observe our systems, but we had no standardization. And back in 2017, 2018, she called out how behind we were, and then all of a sudden OTel showed up. And that's very interesting, especially to me as I sit here thinking about what I used to do as an operator. I would sit there and pull into systems like SNMP. I'd use tools like Traceroute. I'd use various systems like MRTG, PRTG. If you're in networking, you probably are familiar with that. And none of this data was correlated or connected. You kind of had to be the person that correlated it all together and determined what was going on or what was going wrong. Oh, that's me. Okay. So just a quick recap of what OTel can do today. So it is a standard that allows you to collect and export a collection of data, a collection of metrics, a collection of logs, traces, spans, and put them all together. Because you want to be able to understand what's going on in your system, but you also want standardization as to how that gets all applied. It's very vendor neutral, so you have multiple different organizations working together to work on that standard, enhance it, further it, so that it can be applicable to a lot of things outside of what we do today as well. But to also set a baseline for the way we observe our Kubernetes ecosystem, maybe we might be using cloud systems and we need to take advantage of open telemetry. One of the cool things about OTel is its correlation capabilities. You have all of these different requests that flow through a network. You have one microservice or one API that calls another API, that calls another API, that calls another API, and it keeps going on forever and ever. And when you try to tie it all together to determine when one particular service might be overloaded, there might be a high level of latency, you don't know where to look. But OTel can give you that indication as to where to look. And it's also very extensible. So there are SDKs out there that make this highly portable. It makes this extendable in the ways that you can import it into other systems well outside of what we do today, well outside of the frameworks we use today, well outside of the systems we even use today.
So now, traditionally, we do associate OpenTelemetry as an SRE tool, and for good reason. It gives us our observability into Kubernetes clusters, gives us observability into our cloud infrastructure. It's great for monitoring application performance. It helps us troubleshoot our code, whether it's in prod, dev, and QA. And I'm calling out dev and QA because guess what? If developers are instrumenting their code, that means they can use their own instrumentation to troubleshoot their own code. Similar with QA, your code's instrumented, you can troubleshoot your code in the testing environments. And then finally, it obviously gives, it turbo boosts incident response. But it begs the question, are we confined to using OpenTelemetry in our traditional tech silos, or traditional tech boxes? And so we pose this question to you, so please scan the QR code on the slide, and I'm gonna play the Jeopardy song.
This is the one time you're allowed to use your phones, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know if you can hear that.
I don't like the number of no ways there. We need to have a chat after this.
Okay, voting time is over. And the answer to our question is yes.
You bet your arse.
You bet your arse. And so you might be wondering, why would we want to use OTel beyond its traditional confines? For those who answered no, for those who answered maybe, and perhaps for those who answered yes because you thought that that was the response that we expected, which obviously it was. So why would we want to do this? Well, we're already gathering telemetry in various aspects of our lives. We already have a standard for generating our telemetry, for sending our telemetry somewhere. Why not use it? We already have tooling in place that allows us to analyze our instrumented data. And finally, we can use all of this information to improve our processes. So why wouldn't we want to do that? Second question, how can OpenTelemetry help us improve existing processes? So we pose this to you again. So get your phones out, and I'll play the Jeopardy song once again. This one's a word cloud, so we get to see everyone's responses.
Should I get my phone out too?
Maybe. Ooh, 11 participants typing. Do you want to give it like a couple more seconds? All right.
All right.
Cool. Shall we move on?
What is 2-1? Is this like a SQL injection kind of thing?
No, I think they entered the code from the Slido. Sorry, not quite as mysterious. Okay.
Someone double down.
Okay, shall we
Let's go.
carry on? Well, thanks for all the great answers. Oh, this one's still mine.
That's
Sorry,
yours.
you're still stuck with me. Okay, so what are the ways in which we can improve our existing processes by taking OTel outside of our traditional confines? First of all, it can provide us insight into existing waiting times. Think hospital ER waiting rooms. It can help us understand process flows. It gives us insight into our end-to-end processes. And then it can help us identify and understand bottlenecks so that we can see where things are stuck so we can help improve that.
So I've got another question for you, because we love participation by the audience.
Clearly.
What are some of the areas that we could apply OTel to? And we've got another one of those Slidos. So yet another word cloud. And I want you to
this is
think,
the last one.
Yeah, I want you to really think though. Like, just, I don't want you to use the word Kubernetes, because if anyone does, we're coming after you. I want to see, what you're all thinking when we could, okay, everywhere is too obvious, Captain Obvious. People ops, healthcare.
Hazel.
I'm liking these answers.
I'm going to forego the Jeopardy song. It's just fun
Flight
to watch
onboarding.
this.
Ooh, that's an
Ooh,
interesting
la, la.
one.
Food, government, healthcare. Healthcare is like, it is at the top there.
I know. Maybe we should have just focused on just the healthcare bit.
I know.
Food.
Yeah. Training results, robotics, gas emissions. Ooh, good one.
All right. We are donezo. Okay. So let's think OTel beyond borders. Let's think about where else we can apply OTel to. The hiring process. We've got a story about that. I won't get into details. But think about how we can improve the process for both HR, a candidate, the interview process, and so forth. The onboarding process. Imagine you're onboarding an application, a system of sorts, and you have a team that needs to start using it, or several teams that need to start using it. You can't expect them to just jump in and then start playing around with it and then extract value immediately. You need some sort of system in place to be able to track if folks have taken the training classes or read the material or read the slides even, and then gotten to a point of familiarity so that they can use it independently without harassing your Slack channels. The healthcare system. It's been brought up several times. We think about healthcare and how we can improve patient wait times, how we can prioritize patients from varying degrees of illnesses and the requirements for maybe an operation or surgery of sorts. And then maybe even climate change and global warming so that we can track all of these different temperatures, these weather patterns, and then correlate them better so that we can have a better assessment of, is it an ideal time to go visit a particular country for a vacation? So we have a couple of stories for you and point of views. We'll first go with Adriana.
So one of the use cases that Marino and I were talking about when we were first organizing our thoughts around this talk is, what if we used OTel in the hiring process? Because if you've gone through the hiring process at any point in your life, you know how excruciatingly slow it can be in certain organizations. So what if we used OTel to basically represent the end-to-end workflow of the hiring process as a distributed trace? And what if for each step along the hiring process, we created a span? So now going from the candidate submitting their application to it getting reviewed by HR, that's a span. The process from HR review to giving a response, whether it's like, let's go for the first round interview, or sorry, but we're declining your application, that's another span. What if we captured, we generally capture the start and end times of the span, so then we can figure out, we can capture metrics basically on how long we spent at each step of the process. So now it gives us an idea where the bottlenecks are. What if we capture metrics, for example, on number of applicants that make it to each stage, and then percentage of applicants who are successful for each job posting. And then finally, we can use logs to capture additional contextual information about the hiring process, like notes from the hiring manager, notes from various interviewees, notes from HR, notes even from the candidate. So now all of a sudden, you have this big picture of your hiring process that exposes everything that goes on, and that can expose things that you're not even necessarily aware of, right? So now you're like, oh, I didn't even realize we had this step. Oh, I noticed that there's a huge bottleneck here. This is where we're really getting stuck and just, we're not responding to candidates when we have declined their applications. We're not responding to candidates in a more timely manner, so then they've gone off and taken a job elsewhere. And so we have like all these insights into the hiring process, and we can fine tune them and provide a better end-to-end experience for our end user, which is the job applicant.
So how many of you are familiar with air traffic control? A subset of you, wow, okay. So these are all the folks that are sitting in those control towers, checking on flights, making sure the flights are landing on time, departing on time, have the right weather systems in place so that they can avoid turbulent weather or turbulent altitudes, taking the right flight path or avoiding collisions with other planes or possibly helicopters.
Too soon.
Too soon, yeah. But one of the really cool things, I'm working with a particular airline, and they wanted to determine how their flight ops team, the team that's responsible for all the DevOps and platform engineering, can assist air traffic control to effectively improve and be not a little bit, but significantly more proactive in making decisions on, an alternative flight path, or changing that altitude ahead of time, or maybe even considering, that plane might be running out of fuel, options for landing in a different location, or several options for that matter. Like, we would look for gas stations or charging stations for that matter. So in this particular case, what's going on here is we have radar information that's being fed and ingested into an ATC ingestion system or service that's taking that data and conditioning it, formatting it in the right way, and then feeding that into OTel instrumented pipelines that effectively have OTel SDKs built into it. Now, these SDKs effectively are just taking that data and then transforming it into something that's a little bit more OTel friendly. Then we can take some additional data from OTel sources, like maybe our existing Kubernetes clusters, AWS, whatever it might be, and then sending that off to our collectors. So how many of you know what OTel collectors are? I love that, okay. So I don't have to get into the details. So now the OTel collectors will review that data, effectively send off what's necessary, remove the duplicates, and basically compress it and make it a lot cleaner so that effectively we can visualize this data somehow. And what that ends up being is that you have an ATC that has an OTel-friendly dashboard that they can review and make faster decisions on making changes in a particular flight or flight operations. Now, what's really cool about this is bringing or marrying how we take OTel from the lens of operations and platform engineering and allowing our ATC teams to be able to leverage these OTel capabilities, treat everything like a trace and a span, and take advantage of all those metrics that are exported from a plane or even, let's say, baggage operations, and then correlate that all into a singular dashboard that maybe something like Dynatrace is feeding up to everyone. So now you don't have to have multiple different systems put in place. You have a singular system that everyone can use in a very friendly manner. So let's recap some of what's going on.
All right, so hopefully you'll learn something interesting today. So first of all, we already have standards and tools for gathering our telemetry. Let's take advantage of them. Novel concept, don't reinvent the wheel. We know that in doing so, we can use OpenTelemetry to gain insights into non-traditional workflows, which is awesome because, again, we've already got those tools at our disposal.
What we're doing with OTel is we're injecting them into non-traditional workloads. We're thinking about systems outside of our platform engineering cloud-native ecosystems to help improve processes, to help enable other teams to be able to take advantage of the magic and power that OTel brings. And ultimately, we just want to OTel everything, all the way right down to our cell phones, iPhones, whatever we want to call them. And we have one more quote that Hazel granted us the ability to use and share with you. In a world where every team is expected to bring value to the company, in a world where we need to understand systems over increasing complexity, why would we possibly think that we can get away with siloing away our knowledge and understanding our observability systems inside of our own companies? Thank you, Hazel, for that quote. And so we have some shameless plugs. If you want to check us out, I've got a YouTube channel. I run a weekly stream. I've also got a post that you can go check out as well.
And I've got a podcast. And my daughter, who's 16, helps edit the episodes, and she also designed the logo, which includes a capybara, because I mentioned I like them. And I've had really awesome guests on there, including Kelsey Hightower, Charity Majors, Hazel Weekly, Jacob Aronoff, who's also there, Adnan, who's at the front, and Marino. So I've had like awesome people from the community down there, even Maria as well, who's in the audience. So it's been so cool getting to hear everyone's stories. If you're new to observability, I have a course on O'Reilly. It's a video course on an intro to observability with OTel. And also, I mentioned I'm part of the OTel end user SIG. And if you're an end user and you want to chat with other end users and connect with us, scan the QR code to join us on CNCF Slack. And finally, yes, we used AI art. And it's funny because just before this talk, I think Hazel Hazel posted on Blue Sky that new drinking game for KubeCon, drink every time there's a presentation with AI art, so I guess you're getting drunk tonight. Yes, thank you to our evil AI overlord, Bing AI, powered by DALL-E 3. And yeah, here are our QR codes again, if you'd like to connect with us. Thank you so much.
And if you have any questions, we are not taking any right now. Come find us later on. We'll be around KubeCon. Take care, everyone. And wait, hold on. We're going to do our selfie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let's go.
Woo.
Hands up, everyone. Let's go. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.